Let's take a trip back to a time before fitness influencers, calorie counting apps, and sugar-free everything. The 1960s were a different world when it came to food, and somehow people stayed thin without trying so hard. No gym memberships, no juice cleanses, just simple routines, a few unwritten rules, and a whole lot less processed food. From kitchens that shut down after dinner to soda being an actual treat, these everyday habits helped people stay lean without even thinking about it. It wasn't that people in the 1960s were obsessed with staying skinny. They just lived in a world that didn't constantly tempt them with oversized portions, drive-thrus, and snack aisles as long as a football field. Food was functional, not fetishized. It had a time, a place, and a purpose. And most of the time, it was made at home with ingredients you could actually pronounce. So how did they do it? Let's rewind the clock and take a closer look at the lifestyle choices, routines, and cultural norms that helped shape one of the leanest decades in American history. 1. Dinner was over by 6:30 p.m. Once dinner was served, that was it. The kitchen closed, the lights went off, and no one wandered in later for snacks. It was a house rule. Finish dinner, wash the dishes, brush your teeth, and call it a night. Midnight snacking? Not a thing. You learned to live with the idea that you'd eat again tomorrow. It wasn't punishment. It was just how it was. Meals had structure, and that structure helped maintain balance. Intermittent fasting might be trendy now, but in the 60s it was just called waiting until breakfast. 2. Snacking was rare. You had breakfast, lunch, and dinner, no grazing in between. The idea of snack time wasn't normalized. If you got a cookie after school, you were lucky. There weren't pantries full of snack packs and chips. Kids didn't expect something to munch on every hour. You ate when it was time to eat, and the rest of the time, you just lived your life. This approach taught patience and helped prevent mindless eating, a habit that many now struggle to undo. You were also less likely to develop emotional eating habits. Food wasn't used to cure boredom or stress. 3. Soda was a special occasion. A cold Coke was a thrill, not a daily drink. It came in a glass bottle, and maybe you got a straw. Soda wasn't served with meals at home. It was for birthdays, diners, or weekends, and forget about bottomless refills. A single bottle was all you got, and it felt like a treat because it was. Today's supersized soft drinks are a far cry from the modest 6-ounce servings of the 60s. People weren't sipping sugar all day, and that restraint helped keep waistlines in check. 4. Gym class was intense. PE in the 1960s was no joke. Think push-ups, rope climbs, and sprints, not yoga or stretching circles. You were expected to move, sweat, and work hard. There was no talk of mindfulness or finding your flow. You didn't need a gym membership. You had gym class, and it was brutal enough to keep you in shape, and it wasn't optional. Every kid was involved every week, rain or shine, and even outside school, playtime was active. Climbing trees, jumping rope, and running races weren't just fun. They were fitness without the label. 5. Home-cooked meals were the norm. Every day, moms made dinner from scratch. Tuna casserole, meatloaf, and chicken pot pie filled the table. Leftovers weren't frowned upon. They were part of the plan. Cooking wasn't fancy, but it was balanced. You had a protein, a veggie, and a starch, and that's what you ate. No DoorDash, no takeout, just whatever came out of your mom's oven. Even frozen meals, when they started to gain popularity, required oven prep and weren't an everyday thing. Home-cooked meant more control over portions, ingredients, and quality. Quick note, if you're loving this blast from the past and it's sparking memories of Meatloaf Mondays or your mom's famous casseroles, hit that subscribe button. We've got plenty more nostalgic food stories coming your way, straight from the good old days when portion sizes were small and flavor was big. Go on, give it a click. Your 1960s self would totally approve. 6. Lunch came from home. Brown bag lunches weren't trendy, they were standard. A sandwich, maybe a piece of fruit, and if you were lucky, a cookie. That's it. No fast food, no cafeteria buffets, no delivery, and no kid complained because it was normal. It gave structure and taught portion control without anyone realizing it. You didn't get to pick and choose. You ate what was packed. It was a habit that reinforced appreciation and consistency. And since most of the food was simple, there were fewer opportunities to overeat. 7. Dessert wasn't a daily event. You didn't expect sweets every day. Maybe there was pudding once a week or canned fruit and syrup on Sundays. Birthday cake was for birthdays. If dessert happened, it was a small portion and a big deal. That little bit of sugar was enough to make you feel special without overloading your system. Sugar was a reward, not a right, and you didn't need 3 scoops of ice cream to feel satisfied. This mindset naturally limited sugar intake and helped prevent overindulgence. 8. Chores kept you active. Vacuuming, mowing the lawn, doing laundry by hand, it all burned calories. There weren't robot vacuums or push-button appliances. Chores were physical, and everyone did their part. No one called it exercise, but that's exactly what it was. Kids helped rake leaves, carry groceries, and scrub bathtubs. It was expected, and it kept everyone moving. Even simple tasks like hanging laundry or sweeping the porch helped keep people active without them even realizing it. These tasks took real effort and time, making movement a daily necessity rather than a fitness goal. 9. Kids were sent outside. Go outside and do something was the most common parental phrase of the decade. No one cared what you did, just that you got out of the house. So you ran, biked, climbed trees, and came home sweaty and hungry. It was freedom and fitness rolled into one. There was no need to organize play dates, you just played. Movement was built into the fabric of childhood. You were in constant motion, which meant burning off energy, and calories was a daily occurrence. And you didn't come home until the streetlights flickered on. 10. Food wasn't obsessive. People didn't overthink food. You ate what was served, you didn't count carbs, and you didn't stare at ingredient labels. Dinner was a time to talk, laugh, and connect. You weren't afraid of bread or butter. You just ate and then moved on with your day. There were no good or bad foods, just food. And somehow that kept people from obsessing. The focus was on enjoying life, not micromanaging every bite. Eating together gave food emotional value, not anxiety. Looking back, it's easy to see how the simpler lifestyle of the 1960s kept people lean. No fads, no fear. Just good habits, active days, and limited access to junk. There's something refreshing about that, don't you think? It wasn't about perfection, it was about rhythm. Meals had meaning, movement was mandatory, and indulgences were earned, not expected. That rhythm brought balance, and that balance brought health. If this walk down memory lane brought back some good feelings, or maybe inspired you to rethink your own routines, hit that subscribe button. More nostalgic food stories and vintage habits are coming your way. So let's bring back the best of what worked. Dust off that lunchbox, go for that evening walk, or maybe even try turning off the kitchen light after dinner. Small steps with big impact, just like they did back then. And hey, tell us in the comments, which of these habits do you remember, and which would you bring back today? Did you have a favorite lunchbox? A chore you secretly enjoyed? A pudding you still crave? We'd love to hear your memories and see which habits still live on. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.